And when I sold that, which was in 2021, that was a 7-figure revenue business, and it was a 7-figure exit for me.
Yeah.
So it was a good ending to that story.
Welcome back to D2C Diaries. I'm joined today by Frankie. You've got me pronouncing it wrong myself. Frankie Thorogood from Pott'd. Really excited to have you here. Sadly, not with Lucas. Lucas couldn't make this episode, so solo ep from myself. And yeah, thank you for coming on. Really excited to dive into your journey of many years in ecom, many years in online business, and hopefully people will learn a lot.
Mate, let's give him the best episode I've ever had and make Lucas regret
him not
being here.
Funny story was we're actually going to Ireland tomorrow to do a talk, conference, and he's only just realised he hasn't got a passport in date, so he's had to rush to a passport office to pick that up, which is classic.
All right, well, good luck to him then. I'll let him off for that. That sounds cool.
Yeah, bit of a good excuse at least. Well, yeah, wanted to start the episode by as we usually do, a bit of a backstory. I know you've been in the online business space for 4, 5, 6 years, probably more than I was able to find in my own research, and it started with a football snood business. So we'd love to hear a bit about your journey so far, a bit of a synopsis, if that is that a good place to start.
Yeah, I mean, 5, 6 years. No, it's like, how long ago was 2012? That is that
13
many years. It's that many years.
13 years.
Yeah. So, I used to be known as the Snood Guy, and it was a bit before 2012 when football snoods were a thing. I don't know if you personally remember this.
I don't as a trend, but I know what they are.
Because you're too young, you weren't born.
Yeah, exactly.
You probably weren't born. So footballers start wearing snoods, which is like a neck warmer.
Yeah.
And I just come out of uni, and I was like, I've always known my whole life I'm going to have my own business. And actually, when I came out of uni, like, one of my passions is advertising. I love advertising. My favorite bit of watching TV, when I used to watch TV, when people actually watched TV and it wasn't streaming, was the adverts. I just love it.
Yeah.
So, and I used to read advertising books in my spare time. So I love advertising. So when I finished uni, I wanted to go into advertising, and I applied for almost all of the ad agencies in London. And I always got through every round of those processes, and they were like some long processes, man. Like, this was like The Apprentice.
8 interviews.
Yeah, honestly, and like tasks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, giving you like tasks. Like, we had to grow a Facebook group, was one of the first things I did for Saatchi and Saatchi. So I was still at uni. They were like, you've got everybody who wants to apply for this. There's like 300 students. You've all got to make a Facebook group. That's when groups were a thing. And at the end of 2 weeks, the top half of the most members in their group will go through, and whoever's in the bottom half will get cut.
It's a pretty mad task. People push back on our task stage if they do more than like 30 minutes of work these days.
Then
like,
goodbye.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to come on to that.
It's a good filter.
But yeah, definitely. But it's just interesting that they're asking you to do something. That sounds like a fun task, though.
It was fun. But like, that's because those jobs were so in demand. They weren't even paying well.
Yeah.
So everyone wanted to do them. I wanted to do it, kind of. And I came third in that task, by the way. Go me.
What was the group about?
So this is interesting. I think people could learn from this, to be honest. So you could do any group you wanted, and you had a 2-week cap on members. The first group of people made a mistake, which was they went too early, because they were like, okay, time's running out, so I need to get my idea and get my group going now to maximize the time to acquire members. There's some truth to that, obviously, but we kind of know now that type of thing, like, it's not groups anymore. It might be like a page, like a viral video page or something.
Yeah.
We now know that, like, it only takes 1 or 2 good pieces of content, the thing will blow up in 24 hours. So a lot of people jumped early, made a group, and it could never really get off the ground. I tried to calm myself down and take my time a little bit more. And I researched, this is the key thing, I actually researched the most popular Facebook groups at the time. And what I found was there tended to be there was two trends. The most popular groups were basically now what we would call a meme. So the name of the group would just be something stupid, which you don't need to be a group in for at all. So it would be something that everybody's thinking, but no one's really said yet, which is basically like kind of like a meme. It's like relatable. So some of the biggest groups were just relatable, and the other type of biggest group, it might come back to me. I can't remember what it was. There's another type. So anyway, so it was a relatable thing that I decided to go with. So I had to just think up like something that was like meme worthy essentially at the time. And what I came up with was, and this, like, again, like, see how old school this was now, but the name of my group was, you think I'm listening to my iPod and secretly I'm listening to your conversation.
Just, yeah, like you said, something people wouldn't admit
The
to.
crowd goes wild.
Yeah. Huge. There's your insights.
But like, you know what I mean? So like, people are like, oh yeah, like I relate to that. Obviously no one's had an iPod for like a decade, but at the time it was relatable. So
Yeah.
that's what I did. First step was like the research. Honestly, I think like these lessons you can apply to like launching an ecom business or anything, right? Do some research first. Don't just dive in.
That's like, yeah, we talk about it with creative, like people just start making ads with no understanding of like what the customer actually thinks, speaks, what the problem is. We spoke about like how to actually resonate with them. They just start throwing things into an ad account. It just doesn't work. So I think
that's a good way to lose all your money, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a skill. But how did you go from there to advertising, applying for these jobs? What led to the Snoods?
So I put a lot of work into that. I came third. By the way, the person who came first in that task was the group was called Secret London.
Still good.
And that was the start of what we now know as like Secret London, the start of a business. So she dropped out. So anyway, so I got all the way to the end of Saatchi & Saatchi, and basically this happened multiple times where I get to the end of these processes with these ad agencies, and when I was sitting in the final interviews, like my heart wasn't in it.
Yeah.
I was kind of always thinking I'd rather be owning one of these brands than working on helping someone else's brand. So they all rejected me, luckily, I guess, in the end. And I've been playing Sunday League football, you know, for my adult life up until last year. I was playing Sunday League at the time. And when footballers started wearing these snoods, I wanted to buy one for myself. And people who were around at the time will remember, like, they were a laughing stock, like players wearing snoods, because it's like, oh, you're too soft. Do you know what I mean? You're like, your neck's cold.
Yeah. You know, gloves and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like, you know, like people were really judging it. So I wanted one because I wanted to wind up the opposition defenders during Sunday League. Because like, I'm not bad at Sunday League.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to wind them up, and that gets me going. When there's a bit of competition and when they like have a go at me, like that really gets the best out of me. So I literally wanted to buy one so I could wind up my opponents in Sunday League football. So again, like in these days, it wasn't too much e-commerce action. So I went to the one place that sells everything, Sports Direct, and they didn't sell snoods.
Opportunity.
And I was like, what? So then I went to JD Sports and they didn't sell snoods. And there you go. That's a classic, isn't it?
That's your opportunity. That's your entry point. Yeah,
if there can't just be me that wants to buy one. So boom, straight on Alibaba, ordered. So this is my £100. I had £100 investment. I bought snoods with £100, and the rest, I guess, is history. But that's how it started. So I was known as the Snood Guy, and that lasted like less than a year because it's like a fad. And again, like people need to learn from that as well. It's like that was never going to be a sustainable business.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people these days can get lucky, like, or you can spot a good opportunity, but like it might not be a sustainable business. It's just a one product.
I think TikTok Shop's a lot of that right now. There's a lot of businesses popping up on there. And it's like, it's fine if that's going to get you to the point of making money online. You're free with, you got your time freedom. And then it's like, how do you actually transition that income into something that's a little bit more long-term, a little bit more sustainable, which makes sense.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't think it's fair to say to people like you should only start something if you can see it becoming like a big business and sustainable and stuff. It's good to start, but you need to be aware.
Yeah.
So like after the snoods, I was aware like this can't last forever. And it really didn't. So whilst I was selling the snoods, I was thinking, what's my next product? Where am I going to take this next? And so what that was compression sportswear. So this was during the time with the rise of Under Armour, which obviously we all now know. They got started with compression sportswear, and there wasn't a lot of people in the UK doing compression sportswear. So that's when I kind of like officially created TCA.
Yeah, makes sense. Kind of crazy that whole compression sportswear. I was speaking to someone about this yesterday, weirdly, that how recently that became a thing and how big and how normalized it is now. Like you'd think it had been around for 30, 40 years, but it was like Under Armour were the true pioneer of that.
Yeah, I think so. And they had a lot of military clients.
Yeah.
They did it for like the army. Yeah, they did kind of start it. And there's so many lessons from Under Armour as well. It's like, I mean, they sell everything now. I mean, the lesson I take from Under Armour is the brand name. People always stress about their brand name. And the point of Under Armour is like, it really doesn't matter. Like what's Under Armour means meaningless.
You got to make it mean something.
Yeah. They're all just like, the meaning is made in every brand. The name is almost irrelevant.
Yeah.
And if you've ever read Shoe Dog,
yeah,
it's a great book. Phil Knight, he's like, I didn't want to call it Nike. he hated it.
Yeah. No, it's
He had 3 options and everyone else like choose Nike. He's like, fine.
Yeah. I think people obsess over those like meaningless smaller details, or it slows down their execution when it's really the doing and the learning that matters, the progress, and it's like that feedback loop that you need to get going as fast as possible.
Yeah, which is something that I struggle with.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not good at that. I want things to be done like perfect.
Perfectionism.
Yeah.
Like, what's the quote? Like, perfectionism is the enemy of progress, which I think a lot of people get stuck in, and I think it's pre-wired into some people, isn't it? And it's hard to break out of that if that is your like way of operating.
I think it's good to be aware of it, and then like the way I try to think is like pick my battles.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I think it's really paid off for me to be like militant on my standards, and I can give you a few examples, which will kind of help to explain how TCA became successful, because I was militant about some things, but then it went way too far in some cases, and on some things I was like being a perfectionist over stuff. It was honestly just like wasting so much time and so much lost opportunity.
It's like 80-20, isn't it? I feel like there's 20% in the business like product, probably brand in a way, like areas that need that depth of like focus and obsession that really translate to like end experience and growth. But then there's other areas like probably not as impactful, right?
Yeah, or it might be the case that it's not only the areas, but it's like I think each area could benefit from a bit of like intense perfectionism, but it has to be capped somewhere, I suppose.
I also think it has to be delegated to someone if you're going to go down that route at some point, because it's impossible for you to kind of maintain that.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, so many, in hindsight, so many stupid mistakes and did so many things wrong building TCA. And I've got a really good friend of mine, Joe, who's just launched, or he's launching in the next couple of weeks, is in toothpaste brand.
Right.
He's a bit younger than me, and it's his first like brand that he's building. And I'm looking, and I think he's one of the smartest guys I know. And I'm watching him, and I'm thinking, he was doing so many things wrong. But I can't even judge though, because like I was the same.
Yeah.
And also like you kind of need to just learn by doing sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like that was what I was about to say. I feel like you got to let them make the mistakes, because mentorship, there's that balance of like mentorship and guidance, but also like letting them learn on their own. What were some of the biggest mistakes you made through that journey? It might be good just to give a summary of where the business went to from to.
No idea what we're talking about. So, so TCA was the brand. It was. We had D2C and Amazon.
Yeah,
but it was predominantly Amazon business. And so TCA started with the £100 of Snoods, turned into the brand, sportswear brand TCA, and when I sold that, which was in 2021. That was a 7-figure revenue business, and it was a 7-figure exit for me.
Yeah.
So it was a good ending to that story. And along the way, we like hit some really cool milestones. Like I think still to this day, we have the #1 men's running short on Amazon. If you search running shorts for men's, like we're still #1. That product was launched in 2016. We had the #1 women's running tights for a while as well. We had a ton of like athletes wearing the brand. We never really paid anyone either. They just did it as they liked it.
Nice.
Someone messaged me literally this morning. KSI loves TCA. He's in it. He's wearing it all the time.
just organic reach.
Yeah, he's never gives us a shout or anything, but he just seems to like the product. So, so that's kind of what it was. £100, and then we turned it into a 7-figure exit. So it was a good story.
And then what came next from there?
So the funny thing is, I'd heard all these stories about entrepreneurs that have like, because that was like the best part of 10 years building that brand. And I'd heard all these stories about after you think like as soon as you sell the company, you're going to be like, have the time of your life and be free and so happy. But actually you're going to be depressed and bored because you've got nothing to do and there's no purpose in life. So I tried to mitigate that by starting another business before I even sold the first one, because I could see like I could see the deal was on the home straight. I thought like it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I start, and this was during COVID. So I started Pott'd actually just as a bit of fun. So me and my girlfriend at the time, like we were trying all these different arts and crafts projects to keep ourselves busy. I got so creative in COVID. Honestly, I think like a lot of people discovered some great stuff during that time. New
hobbies, new passions. Yeah, definitely.
Honestly, yeah.
I've also heard the other thing, like other people just wasted away drinking, doing pub quizzes every Wednesday. But yeah, I think definitely. I got really into running at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I was running. I was doing fitness classes on House Party. I became a fitness instructor.
Really,
I loved it.
Really
I learned the guitar. We did all these arts and crafts, and we tried like loads of stuff.
What a weird time that was.
It was weird, but like obviously it was terrible. But like I kind of want to try and bottle the good bit that I'm talking about now and work out how to recreate it.
Yeah.
So we were doing all these arts and crafts things, and then I knew it was going to get sold, and I was like, okay, let me just quickly whip up a brand and a business. Like, no, don't overthink it. Don't be perfectionist as a practice, and just see what happens, and that will keep me busy after the sale. So that's how Pott'd got started.
I've heard a lot of the same about like exiting and like that next period, being like having something to shift focus to, having a purpose, like you mentioned. A lot of the most successful people will say that like that next 12 months was the worst of their life. or they regret selling so early, or they're like, it's like figuring out when the right time to sell is personally is so important. I think in something that people get wrong a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I learned so much from that sale process, and like, you know, when this is something I talk about a lot, is like the sale of a business is not just something that happens at the end. People think you've got a startup and then you've got to scale up, and then at the end someone will buy it, and it's not true. It's a startup, scale up, and there's a sell up, and that phase should be as long potentially as the other two. Yeah. So people forget that. But like the irony is, I wasn't bored after I sold the company. Yeah. I was like, this is great. All I wanted to do was go gym.
Just tunnel vision into.
Yeah, I was like, I don't actually want to do this other business. I wish I hadn't done it.
Yeah.
So so I actually didn't need it at all. I was fine.
Yeah.
And so because of that though, I didn't really try very hard for the first year. It really was like a side hustle, and gym was my was my main hustle. Yeah. So but that's how it got started, and then obviously it turned out like it's a great product, and it has become a great business. But yeah, that was the origin story.
Yeah, it's a great product. I've seen, obviously, I originally came across the niche through a couple of your competitors, like Sculpted, like one of them, but like digging into the brand and the proposition, like, and all the advertising, the positioning, it looks like it's flying. So how has it progressed since that point of launching to where it is today?
We were just talking about it before we started recording, but like, we might have brought it up as well since, but if you've got a good product, if you just have a good product, your life will be very easy. It's not, you can't just have a good product and do nothing forever, but you can start with a great product, and then you get the customers, and then you get the feedback, and then you've got something to work with.
It's like that push or pull, isn't it? We had the guy from Surrey, Mark from Surrey Toothbrush, on recently, and he was like, he obsesses over the idea of like spend more time picking the category product and market to enter, and less time, it'll make everything else so much easier.
Yeah,
and I think that's the fundamentals, the bigger decisions, the bigger pieces often make it much easier to grow, build the business. So sounds like that's the case for.
Yeah, and I think like there was an interest intrinsically in what I was doing to start with, which also does help. It is a balance. Like you can't just be like, I think maybe some people can, but like I've not seen it too often, and it probably isn't the right approach to be very analytical and statistical. Okay, like categories aren't growing fast enough, I'm just gonna do like sofas. Like I don't think that's gonna work, right? But if you care a little bit about the product that you're actually engaging with, and you've got those other like what's it called, a tailwind, the one that helps you, then that's a good combo.
Yeah.
So like I'm like super creative. I'm a frustrated creative person, which is why COVID unlocked that for me, because it gave me all this time, I suppose, to like do things. So obviously like the home pottery is a very creative thing, and it's also very mindful. And like I went through this whole thing in COVID as well, where I was like mental health like crisis, even though I enjoyed it, like a lot of things were coming to a head, I guess. And so I started my mental health practices then, and so I was sitting there like making this stuff out of air dry clay. It was like, you're in a flow, man.
Yeah.
And like it's so relaxing, and like time just flies. So I already passionate about it from those perspectives. It was A, like unlocking creativity of people like myself, and B, being able to relax and do something that isn't a screen.
Yeah.
Because I obviously love my screens, but
like everyone does. Yeah.
But like that's also how it came about, because like we were just sitting around, like my girlfriend at the time, just like watching TV with our phones at the same time. I was like, come on, this is bullshit. Like we need to try some.
It's like focusing on something, getting out of your own head, like conversation,
Yeah,
like
I mean,
shared activity.
Once you try it, honestly, like there's not many activities that can like go that deep that fast, I think. So anyway, the point is though, like I was passionate about the product, and it was, you know, a good opportunity that happened to start doing well. And so that's, I think, again, like that's why we've been able to grow it so, you know, so big in whatever relatively short amount of time, because we have those two things, I guess.
Nice. And has it all been through D2C? I'm assuming like all D2C native classic channels like Facebook, Google, influencer, main growth approach to the brand.
Yeah, it is. And obviously we have the background in Amazon from so it's me and Chris. Like Chris is the COO of Pott'd, and he was the COO of TCA as well. And so and he used to work at Amazon also. So we've always had this like just like this core knowledge of how Amazon works, how to make it work, and that is helpful for D2C brands. Like you've got to do Amazon. You can't ignore it. I think people finally realize they can't ignore it, because for years people were turning their nose up at it.
Such a high percentage of online transactions happen there.
Well, yeah.
And as soon as you turn it on, like you notice that so many people will self-select over, and I think it can provide such a strong, steady base for a brand if you can do it well.
Yeah.
But it's such a skill getting it ranked and like actually playing the game of like how to drive that.
Well, yeah, they're two
growth.
different business models. And you unfortunately now you do need to have both.
Yeah.
I guess you could have just Amazon is another option. Everybody would rather buy your product on Amazon.
Yeah.
They don't want to go on your website. Sorry.
For ease.
No one cares how good your website is. They don't want to be there. Trust me. They want to open an app, boom, Prime next day. They want to deal with your website. So put yourself in the customer's head. Like when you're buying something, do you want to go on someone's website and check? No.
It's trust, convenience, all of those things.
Yeah, it's 3 seconds and the thing's at my door tomorrow. They don't want to use your website.
Yeah.
So we're all going to drive people there. We're going to try and incentivize whatever, like you can do things, but just be realistic. Everyone would rather be buying your thing on Amazon. So you've got to be there and you've got to execute it well.
Yeah. Like we've had brands that haven't shown up there and they've had people buying their product on sale, reselling it on Amazon and making like 200 grand a month in like just arbitrage game because they're not showing up there.
Yeah.
So I think that's like proof of that. It's such a massive growth opportunity. There's a couple of I was speaking to one of our clients this week as well that like the speed of delivery on that app now into London is like you can literally order and it'll be there 4 hours later.
Yeah.
Which is bonkers. But yeah, crazy. So I want to dive into more of like the team piece and some of the broader entrepreneurial stuff, but it would be good just to complete like a view of the growth journey so far. So where are you up to now in terms of like for Pott'd, in terms of revenue, staff, team? What's the last sort of 12 months look like?
Yeah, so it's obviously things are like moving very quickly.
Yeah.
So we went over the 8-figure mark last year.
Yeah.
So, you know, this year will be a lot. I think it was like 100% growth or something year on year. But we ticked over the 8 figures. So, you know, again, like we want to keep pushing that hard again this year. So it'll be like, you know, higher up in the 8-figure range.
Yeah.
The team is around 15 now. A couple people just come and gone, but around 15.
I think that's quite lean for the revenue base as well. And I know that Joe, my business partner, introduced me to yourself, and he mentioned that what you've purposely designed in the business is like operator approach, like removal from like the day-to-day operations, and designing the business to kind of fit your lifestyle, which I think is really powerful, and I think a lot of people can learn from that. That's what I wanted to really dig into, is this in terms of how you've gone through that process. I think an interesting place to start, because I think it's a real facilitator of that, if that's what you wanted to set up, is like the people and the hiring and the growth of that team. What's that look like, and like how have you kind of approached that for the brand? Yeah,
so what I do see a lot, so like generally speaking, a founder, an entrepreneur is a creative person, and they're going to be more likely like product driven person.
Yeah.
And then they, you know, usually it's that product, brand, marketing focus.
It's that pair of like visionary, which I guess is what you mean, and then that kind of executor, doer, and like finding that, which is that
what's that? Is it Traction or something that has that thing?
Yeah.
Visionary and something else. I don't remember what it's called.
I think it's basically like Execute but with a different name, but that's where you find this real synergy.
So again, like if you think back to Shoe Dog, Phil Knight's the visionary and all the ideas, and then he finds one way or another, he finds his sort of number two, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he's like operational. And then without him, he could never have created like obviously Nike into what it became. And you see that time and time again. So you get the entrepreneur who's got like the ideas, creative stuff, and then I feel like you need that right hand that can be operational, because that's your weakness normally. And for me, 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah,
who can take the ideas out of your head and turn them into like system.
And the worst thing is like, so I found my number two, my guy that executes and operates relatively early, or I guess it was midway through the TCA story, and so finding Chris has changed the game.
Sounds like a book title.
I owe him everything. But it's because it's like I always think, well, without him, like I think I'm nothing now.
We've got like Matt, who has RMD in the business, who's exactly the same. Like it allows you to put yourself in like your zone of genius, and allows you to be very good at what you're good at, and not have to think about the things where you just don't want to spend time, or you're not going to be able to drive the same amount of impact, which I think that's the goal, isn't it, really?
A lot of people never realize that. Like they just still doing things that they suck at for years, and like not realizing why the business is stagnant and why they hate it. How many entrepreneurs just hate their own business? They've just got a job that they own, which I think I've seen that in clients. I think delegation is the second part of that as well. Like, I call myself an aggressive delegator. I don't know whether it was because I've got some form of like ADHD where like unless I love doing it, I just can't do it well. So that just leads me to like aggressively delegating things that I don't enjoy. But is that something you pursue as well? Yeah. So I think you're 100% right. There's a great book, Buy Back Your Time. And like it is a great book. Like I'm not just saying that because everybody recommends that book, which they do. Like I've read it twice. Trust me, I don't finish books because they're so boring. That book is really good, and there's no new ideas, and it's not like anything new. It's just like very tactical, tell you how to actually,
like a framework for actually doing.
Tell you how to do this shit. So 100% agree with that principle. You need to be able to delegate. Obviously, otherwise you're gonna become the bottleneck. But yeah, I think like in terms of like unlocking the scale, in my case, it was definitely finding Chris, and then like it took me too long to actually delegate to him. Because I still think I know best, and trust me, I'm so shit at Excel. Like, I literally have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know best. And you just have to like, things started to really move when I like trusted him. And the same goes for like other key members of the teams, like back in TCA and now at Pott'd as well. So like I think I'm like good at creative stuff, but our designers are way better than me. And it's just, you have to learn to get great people and then get out of their way, which is like you've all heard 100 times, but like at what point are you actually going to do it?
Yeah, definitely. And like as you grow, you're able to afford those like more talented people and in more seats who are just better than you at what they do, which is like the goal, isn't it? Like just hard to, it's easy to say but hard to do, like you say.
And I think you have to accept that like it might not be done exactly how you would have done it, but at least it was done. So I think it's in the book Buy Back Your Time, it's like 80% done by someone else, or 80% well done by someone else is better than 100% well done by you. So it's like that, you have to let go, man.
I also think that delegation piece is a skill in itself. It's like you need to become good at it. Like you need to become good at allowing people to fail and giving them the feedback, and not just like going and doing it yourself if it doesn't get done right, which is what so many people do. Like they just jump back in and they're like, oh, this hasn't been done right, I'm just going to go do it, rather than give the feedback, coach them to become really good at the thing you've tried to hand off. As you're like back at square one again. Had a couple of conversations recently about that with different brand owners. I also think hiring those people is a massive skill. What's your guys' like approach and philosophy to hiring? Like, how do you look at that as a process?
I mean, COVID again, man, like came to the rescue, because I can't believe we used to do this, but we used to get like we used to put job ad, get CVs in, and then like, oh, this CV looks good, let's invite them in for an hour.
Just
honestly,
in person.
What such a dumb thing to do. But that was the way things worked. Like there was no Zoom interviews. There was none of that. So thank God COVID came around. So now we have like a streamlined process, and we're still tinkering around with it. And I think it depends a bit on the role, but I think you want it's like a funnel, and I think you just want to filter people out. You know, you want to be very harsh filtering at the start of that process, and then you slowly like trickle it down. And I think that us as the people hiring the business owners, we need to give ourselves a little bit more credit and put a bit more onus on the candidates. Because again, like when I wanted a job, I would do whatever they told me. I'd do a Facebook group for 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? Because I wanted the job. And so like when we put a task out and say like, okay, if you want, like, we're not going to talk to you, but you need to record a video saying why you're right for the role, blah, 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 like for answer these 3 questions, or like do a task, it's going to take you half an hour, an hour. And if you don't want to do that because it's too much, then good, because then you're obviously not the right fit. Like, I think I'd be a good employee. I'd be a bad employee, but like, whatever. You get my point. And like, I would do the task. I want the job, so I'll do the task. So I think stuff like that we would implement now.
I think that's 100%. You got to make people jump through hoops, because I also think that's the best representation of that person you're probably ever going to see, or it should be at that point. And it's like you have to hold them to like the highest standard, because they should be putting themselves across in that way. And you're making a commitment to bring them into the company. Have you made any bad decisions through those processes in the past? Like,
well,
how's the
so we have that like kind of like sort of like all these hoops to jump through, and then when we get on the call, we have the interview, like a call, and we'll both, myself and Chris, will have the same. We have separate notes, and then we'll have the same like judging criteria at the bottom. So like, here's all the things that we want in like a great employee, and then you have to give them a ranking out of 10, but you can't put 7. Because trust me, like. That's just squirming out. So you have to commit. There's no 7s, and so we'll do the call and make our separate notes, and then we like put it, paste into the chart like in white text, so you can't see what the other one's doing. And then at the end, like reveal, and and then I think it's like out of a certain score.
Try to take the subjectivity out of it, isn't it? Like make it very like matter of fact. We do the same. We do it out of 4, not 5, because then you can't go 3. It's like you're either a 4 or you're a 2. Like,
get off the fence.
Literally. Which I think is interesting.
But I will say though, like that has worked for us really well. And then I can think of one time when it absolutely didn't work. It was, the scores were so poor. It was like one of the worst scores anyone had ever done. And, but we just felt like it wasn't, we still hired that person and they're like a superstar. So it's not foolproof.
No, definitely.
I haven't worked out why, but
I think some people don't interview well as well. You do have to give some people a benefit of a doubt. Like they get nervous or they can't present themselves well on a call, which isn't like reflective of the role they can do, depending on what it is, which I think is underappreciated sometimes.
I think that there's I've spoke to the guys that were running AppSumo, AppSumo.
Yeah, massive business.
Yeah, so Noah and Eamon. So Noah's the founder, and Eamon he hired as his CEO at some point. And so like they gave a presentation I watched last year, and they were talking about how they would basically like, you can't work there until you've done a trial period. Like it's a bit different, like depending on the roles. But like everybody has to work for like 2 weeks, and then they could decide if you get hired or not.
I think that's a simpler way.
Well, if you could do it with every role, it would be perfect. But it's not. I think you have to be a bit creative, because like people might have a job or whatever. Like, how do you judge someone's work depending on the role is for over 2 weeks? But like, I just think like that mindset of like, okay, let's do the job then. And if you don't like it, you don't have to take the job. And if we don't like you, you don't have to hire you. So I do think there's some, that's something I'd like to explore more, is how to like implement that maybe at a like more appropriate scale.
I think, we're exploring that as well for those like entry level hires, trying to get people from university in, train them up. And because the hiring process as it is so hard to learn in such a short space of time about that much about someone from like 4 calls and a couple of tasks. So makes a lot of sense. Right. I wanted to jump on to, whilst doing the research for this episode, like I was digging through your LinkedIn and just diving into your background, and I realized that you were very like anti sort of business platitude and had a lot of like your own sort of philosophies and views on entrepreneurship and advice for kind of people earlier in the journey. We have a lot of people who watch this podcast who are in that sort of 0 to 1 phase, who are trying to find that first idea, that break that gets them revenue growth, time back, and are able to kind of move away from 9 to 5 to doing their own thing. I'd love to dig into a bit of that and like what are some of the key sort of principles and lessons you've learned throughout the growth of both businesses.
Well, the biggest one is start with a great product.
Yeah,
this is like one thing that I would like say is my advice, because then your life's easy.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like, why would you start with something you really have to like struggle to sell? Everything gets so hard. Where it's like a flywheel. When you have a good product, you can get some sales, you get some feedback, you get some reviews, you get some referrals, your marketing spend goes down, your quantities increase, your MOQs, whatever prices comes down. Everything will work if you have a good product.
Yeah.
And so that's should be the main focus. And then how do you know whether it's a good product or not is another question. But like, that's what I think about more and more now.
Which I think is interesting in the context of we're seeing so many people put out these AI wrapper products at the moment who are just building front ends to ChatGPT, not really like putting the time into developing a good proposition before they take it to market. But yeah, I completely agree. It makes, like you said earlier, it makes everything easier. It provides that tailwind.
What do you mean by the AI wrappers?
Just like taking just using ChatGPT and building like a front end to it, like maybe an AI agent front end, but like when you actually use it, or versus going and just using ChatGPT with your own inputs, you're getting a worse output.
What's the like output they're trying to give you though? Is it like ad? I've seen a lot of those.
Yeah, there's a lot of ads. There's a lot of like ads.
Generate a billion ads, whatever.
Yeah.
Mate, have you tried to actually do it manually on ChatGPT? The ads suck.
Yeah, they do. The API is much better.
It's
recently.
It's all fake news. Like when you see a good ad, no offense everybody, but like if you see a good ad on Twitter, like I just prompted and it made, trust me, I haven't had that work.
Yeah.
It just like spangles my product
Words
imagery
all over the place.
Yeah, and it's just like what? It's just like what?
Yeah, I think
so that's BS.
I think it just allows you to like execute more, and like half the execution is worse. And a lot, yeah. And even if you can get it to work, it takes you longer to get it to work there than just going into.
Honestly, yeah, and then even there's obviously like, I'm not trying to shit on AI in general. Like when you work out to do something with it, like it's a great tool, obviously.
Yeah.
But like I just see, this is why I just troll on LinkedIn. It's just full of trash. It's just trash, mate.
Yeah.
It is trash on LinkedIn, honestly. It's like all I see is someone do like something they've like half generated on ChatGPT with a prompt, and then obviously like retouched. It's like making them like a cool looking ad, and then it's like, comment whatever it is, then I'll send you how I did it. So it's just a lead magnet, and like all these people just like flooding in, like to just get, and it doesn't work. So that's just BS. And then obviously like what you're kind of alluding to before is just like all the advice and like the inspirational messages and the quotes, and just like honestly, like the thing that wound me up about LinkedIn the most, when I've tried to stay off it, but like when I was trying to sell my company in 2020, someone offered to help me with it. And I went on his profile, and he literally had like, he had the award CEO of the Year. And I was like, well, first of all, I've never heard of you. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And like, you can't be like, who's giving you that award? So I just realized that people just write anything they want. So I just gave myself CEO of the Year for every year for like 10 years past and 5 years ahead.
Straight down.
I was like, well, everyone else seems to be able to do it. So you can award yourself CEO of the Year. You can give yourself awards. So yeah, I just found like LinkedIn is just like a terrible place to be, which is how I get my kicks now. This is going on there and basically just trolling it. So that's how I get my joy. That's what I do in my spare time for fun.
Yeah, I've seen you talking on there, and I watched you discuss like that importance of like action and like moving forward and using that as like the force for learning. And it feels like that's, like you said earlier, like in terms of your journey, that's always been something you've prioritized, like the interview stage, just doing it, setting up your first brand, moving into the next brand from there. Like I think that's such a separator for many people that who aren't making the progress they want to versus that are, like that's simplifying and just like moving forward and getting momentum. Would you say that's been like a big part of?
I don't think I'm that good at it, and I had to learn it the hard way, and I think I'm still learning that lesson that you just described. Mine, like we said before, my natural instinct is to do it perfect before doing anything. And as soon as I stopped doing that a bit, everything got better. And I stopped doing it a bit more, everything got way better. And so I still think, like, in terms of like the spectrum of like control and perfectionism, getting everything great here, and just like launch and, you know, what is it called? Like ready, fire, aim over here. I still think I'm a little bit too far over there personally, but I've seen both. I think I'm up here, so I know my example. And then I've seen people that are way down there. And what you tend to get with those people is like, boom, like I've made 100 grand today and tomorrow I'm bankrupt.
Yeah.
And then in 3 months I've done something else, then I'm down here again. So that's not perfect either.
Yeah.
So it's like a balance, and B, picking your battles which one might be more suitable. But 100% agree with you. To unlock the growth of Pott'd, it has been sliding down that scale towards like executing things. And again, like I just can't even pretend it's like Chris is that guy, and he's definitely not just like shooting from the hip all the time, but he just does things like I'll be on a call with him and we'll be discussing, oh, could we do XYZ? And when we finish the call, I'll go on like Slack. We used to use Skype, RIP. It's literally, I think it's today or something, it's like Skype's finished. We used to use Skype. So I would go on Skype and like he'd already like delegated those things or like actioned it. So that's again, like I think why it's a good balance, yin and yang. But I want to be more like him in that way, because I do think it's a way to unlock a lot of growth.
100% makes sense. And what does like the growth path for Pott'd and then yourself personally look like for this year and beyond as well? What's like the end goal with the brand, where you try to take it to?
Well, I genuinely think it can be, we think it can be like a household name. Yeah. Not only in this country, but in many countries. And so I guess like that would be like the sort of like the fuzzy aim. And it's like, how do you achieve that? It's just what I said before, which is how can we make great products? Yeah. And just continuously launching more and more great products. Like I remember I was reading Alan Sugar's book like years and years ago, and he said the similar thing to me, which is probably why I kind of like thought about it with the Snood. It's like, you can't just have a product and, like that's your business for life. And I think it's Steve Jobs. He was like, you need to cannibalize yourself before someone else does. So like, obviously the classic example is like he launched the iPhone, which like killed the iPod, right? Yeah. Killed his own like baby. Is like the best product ever, the iPod. So with Pott'd, it's like, okay, we want to be this great big brand that like customers love and they come back and buy all the time, and like it's really meaningful to them. Like that's important to me as well. And like we're really keen on trying to like cultivate more of a community vibe. Yeah. But all of that is nothingness unless the products are really, really good.
How are you thinking about product development? Like, how are you thinking about that process to make sure that the product is really strong?
I think it's a mixture of like art and science. Yeah. So, the science is, okay, what's selling? Yeah. Like in our own data, what can we see other types of products or like categories that are selling well?
Data-driven almost, yeah.
Yeah, we can draw some stuff from that. Testing with ads, for example. And then the science is like, okay, what do we, as like the more creative side of the business, what do we think is cool? What have we seen over there, like one idea that could combine with this idea? I think some people like define creativity as like the combination of two separate ideas. So that's like the science piece. So I think we try to incorporate both of those and blend the art and science in terms of making great products. The big one I will mention as well though is like we actually like ask people, like our customers.
Feedback, yeah.
It's like a shock horror. Like, does anyone speak to their customer? Just ask them. Yeah. Like they can often give you some really valuable insights.
Is that surveys, phone calls? Are you doing
Mate, I
everything?
Get on the phone.
Yeah. So it's just like what other people, it's so simple, but people just don't do it.
This is a good story actually from the TCA days. I mentioned we have we had, and I think we still have now, the #1 running short on Amazon. How did we get that? It's because we wanted to launch a running short, and instead of just like making one off the top of our heads, we first of all ordered running shorts from all the major brands and analyzed what we liked and didn't like about them. And then I sent a survey out, and then I got at least 2 or 3 customers like in my office. Yeah, like we invited them for email, whatever, like, would you be up for it? They came in the office and we chatted to them for like an hour. And the insight, the gem, the insight that we got from all of that was most running shorts at the time didn't have pockets. And the ones that did have pockets, they didn't have a zip. And the ones that had a pocket and a zip, the pocket itself was too small to hold their phone, which is what they actually wanted. Phones were getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
All that research unlocked that one insight. We launched the Elite Tech running short with a zip pocket, which was big enough to hold phones. Boom.
Simple as that.
#1.
Yeah. And it's so, customers are so underutilized still now with brands. Like they don't send feedback surveys. They don't try and like use them to find ad angles. They don't use them for product development.
Yeah, I know, it's weird.
So such
like you're just like a weird bunch of people we're going to sell things to, and we're going to come up with all the ideas completely independently.
So separate, yeah.
You can learn so much from just chatting to the customer, which I love doing. Yeah.
But then, as you say, like I think the creativity piece is still key, because I still believe there's cases where the customer almost doesn't know what they want until it's put in front of them, and like that's your job as like the founder and the visionary, probably, to combine those 2 pieces.
Yeah, they can't imagine, like, the ideas they give you for a product will usually not be very good.
Yeah.
Because like they can't imagine it. So yeah, you have to be very careful in the way what you ask them and how you interpret what they say. If you're 100% right, then it's our job to try and pull that all together and say like, okay, like this is something that might really
Makes
resonate.
sense. And are you is that the roadmap for the rest of this year? Just more product launches, more markets, continuing to do what's working in terms of growth strategy?
Yeah, I think the product underpins everything, as we keep saying. But the community I mentioned, it's so funny. Like, I used to just like hate the word community. It's just like horrible.
The buzzword of 2025, I reckon. If you were to pick one, everybody wants to do community. Community is the thing for brands.
Yeah, it's like, why didn't I realize earlier? Yeah. But like, I actually realized like I like being in communities. So why am I like thinking it's not a good idea? Do you know what I mean? Like, so
High Rocks, which we were mentioning prior to this, is a big community.
It is, exactly. Yeah. You know, you're right. I guess it is the buzzword. I hadn't even realized. But yeah, we think that's just rewarding as well. Like, I just like that. Like Pott'd has never been, how can I just like create a massive company and make loads of money?
Yeah.
It's always been like, I just love working with the creators. Like, we've got all these like creators that have just almost all of them started doing COVID again, like got into the air dry clay. Now they're like making insane stuff, helping us develop products. So I love working with them because they're like inspiring to me. And then I love seeing like customers, you know, so many customers have like great stories about like using Pott'd kits, like improve their mental health, like a new hobby. And like, so we want to like lean in on all of that and build more community. That's like a big thing that I would love to see happening this year as well. We just did a bit of a mini collaboration with the Offline Club. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I haven't. What though?
Really cool concept. It is what it sounds like.
Just getting people off the phone.
You can go and like pay to like go in like a cool venue, the Offline Club London, and obviously like not have your phone and do what you could read. People sit there and read, or you can do crafty things as well. And Ben, the founder of that, recently did the world's biggest watch the sunset without your phone event, like world record on Primrose Hill.
Nice.
So we kind of worked with him on that a little bit, and now we want to lean into that because they've got a community of people that want to like invest in more creative time as well.
Feels a lot more real and impactful, I feel like, when you're building something like that, like actually engaging with your customers on a one-to-one basis. I also feel like that whole macro trend of getting offline just feels like something that's just bubbling along under the surface right now, and the more and more brands, like that's an example I hadn't heard of. But I guess like run clubs are an example of that, like craving that in-person, offline relationships or just activities to do, which I guess you're in a really nice position to capitalize on.
No, I think you're right. I think it's one of those things that's like so big and so obvious that we've almost blind to it.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Which is cool. What's the kind of goal for you guys personally with the business? Like, what's the end goal, or whether that's lifestyle or exit, or like how are you trying to set set things up from that perspective?
Well, we think Pott'd will become a 9-figure brand.
Yeah.
So, I think like that's what our aim is. And, I think it needs a couple of years. It needs a couple, maybe at least.
Yeah.
So, we haven't got like a, that's the goal. Like I say, household name. We think it can get to there or thereabouts from 9-figure range. And then whatever happens after that, I think, we'll maybe cross the bridge when we come to it or whatever. But it's growing so fast and people love what we're doing. So I think it's just good to like ride that while you can.
Momentum, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and also the lifestyle is also important. Like, so I love my fitness, like obsessed with high rocks, unfortunately.
Another one.
But Chris also loves his training, and we did High Rocks Warsaw together like 2 weeks ago. So that's something I never did with TCA, where like my life was that brand. I never had no other hobbies or interests. I didn't wear any other clothes for like 10 years. So like when I sold it, I was like, oh, it's such a treat. I can not wear that brand now.
Yeah.
So
balance back.
I've learned to like embrace a bit more balance as well. And I think, we have a decent balance right now.
We mentioned this earlier, but yeah, that's such an interesting thing that people start the businesses and then kind of go the opposite way to what it's meant to facilitate. So I think that, really good to hear that. Well, yeah, we need to wrap up in a minute, but we always end with a couple of predictions, and I also wanted to ask you for like a couple of bits of advice for people getting started. So like, what's your big prediction for sort of ecom/business for the rest of this year into 2026 as well first?
That's what?
Hard question.
What the big prediction for e-commerce between now and by the end of the year?
Yeah. Where do you think things are going to go? I think we've touched on a few, I think, in terms of community, but
yeah. What would it be like? I'm interested. I don't know. It's not a prediction, but I'm interested to see how all the AI tools shake out.
Yeah.
I just see a lot of noise. I don't see much value right now.
Yeah.
There will be some, and I just wonder what it's going to be. So I don't have the prediction, but if anyone else does, I'd like to hear it.
It's like that idea of like, it's like when it happens, it kind of happens all at once very quickly in those kind of tech areas. So yeah, I agree. It's just doesn't feel like it's been that impactful yet.
No, I think there's a lot of opportunity to waste your time at the moment on Twitter or LinkedIn. So that's not a prediction for you. Community, I guess, like you've done it. I didn't even know, like you've told me that one today. The community is a big piece. And then I guess it's always, I think like, it seems like a constant trend that like ad spend or, like CPCs or whatever are going up. And you're going to have to be more creative with what you're doing. And I just think like, the best products rise to the top. So I don't know whether we'll see like, maybe TikTok. I mean, TikTok's not even got started in this country, I would say.
Yeah, TikTok shop, which is nuts. It's absolutely...
It's already nuts, and I still don't think it's even...
Have you bought anything on there yet, personally?
I actually no, I haven't. I kind of banned myself off it.
And nose strips. I always get done by the most stupid ads, like late at night, buying nose strips and mouth tape. So yeah. What about 3 bits of advice for someone early in the journey, just getting started, in terms of three core things to live by? Products you've mentioned, but
free. Yeah, I think I mean, I honestly, like, I know it's boring, but like, I will just repeat it, like, have a good product, please, because otherwise it's just gonna make your life miserable. I think at the start, I think this is why there can be such an advice trap. At the start, this is speaking from, okay, I guess like I generally try not to give advice. I generally try to give my experience, and you can draw from it what you will. And my experience is that at the start you have to do everything. So you have to be a jack of all trades. And that's a great place to be for like, as you're an entrepreneur starting up, because you have to touch all these different things. So I think knowing that you're going to have to do that and being willing to do it is probably decent advice. But then the third one, I guess, is kind of to go back to what we spoke about before. Is like, someone once said to me, like what got you here won't get you there.
Yeah.
So you can have the great idea, the great product, and you can do everything to get it off the ground and get it rolling. And then you need to just be aware that like at some point that won't work anymore and you can't do everything. And that's then you've got to find ways to outsource different pieces of that business. And I think a lot of people get stuck in that second stage where things are going well and they are growing. So why would you change? But there's levels. And I think like being aware of when you're maybe becoming a bottleneck would be reasonable advice. And like, that's, I guess, like advice to my past self as well.
Yeah. It's good advice. Really good advice. Well, yeah, thank you for coming on. I guess where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
If you want to learn nothing, if you want to learn nothing about entrepreneurship, you can follow me on LinkedIn, which is my name. Go to my website, frankie.co.uk. And
it's a powerful domain.
Yeah, it's honestly, you won't learn anything there either.
You're underselling yourself here.
Might be fun. And then I like to add people on Instagram as well. But I don't really put worky stuff there, but I don't really mind. I just chat to people. So my Instagram is The Urban Artist, which actually sounds so cringe. That was originally a troll account also. So I've just never changed it. The Urban Artist is so cringe, isn't it? I need to change that.
It's not that bad. Did you get some followers? Did you bring some followers over with you?
No. I've got no followers.
No. Well, yeah, everyone go connect with Frankie. Thank you for coming on. And if you enjoyed the episode, like, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.